my personal experience, I believe that dance has really important influence on a person's life. For me, for example, as a young activist who grew up in a rural area of Georgia, which is really conservative country, and the homophobia is quite strong here. It was it was too difficult for me as well when I moved to the capital city. It was I had some body issues for a very long time, and the dance floor basically was the place where I first time ever took the t-shirt off and I started touching my body, and then I started accepting my body, and then I started loving my body. And it applies for the identities as well. I started to, it helped me a lot, the dance floor helped me a lot to accept myself as a queer person, and that was really empowering space for me because that all everything had contributed to that path. And finally I empowered so much that it led me to become the one of the organizers of Tbilisi Pride. That was my experience. And later on, to go back to 2016, for example, I remember, for example, going to Bassiani was the only place I can show up as an openly queer person. I can't say that the Bassiani at that time was the safe space for queer people, but I knew that, for example, if I reported about some of the homophobic acts or some of the violence incidents, the management would react properly. For example, they would not tell me that there was my fault and that I provocated some people. No, they would tell the perpetrators that there is no place for homophobia on the dance floor. And they declared many times openly that the dance floor belongs to every person, regardless of their sexual identity, skin color, or gender identity, etc. There was really strong message in Georgian context, and not many people in the business does it here. So it was really considered one of the one of the safest place in Georgia. And I remember showing up at Bassiani together with my boyfriend, dancing and kissing. It was like there were always some guys looking at us and yelling and like laughing at us and saying, "Look at these two guys are kissing and they are gays." And some of them even laughed at us many times, but it was okay as far as they were not aggressive. Because basically, the Bastiani created it, and as far as other nightclubs, for example, Hildi as well, created a safe space for queer people and the so-called others, traits, let's say, where we can be like we could talk to each other. And there was really important thing because before that we had our prejudices towards them. They had some prejudices towards us. Then we started talking to each other and we started to get to know each other, and we found out that we are not dangerous for each other as well. And that was really nice experience. How dance floor managed a space for dialogue between two groups, which were yeah, basically one was on the side of violence, and another side was the people whose rights we are not protected for years in Georgia. So that was the case in Bastiani. Then let's talk about Bastiani demonstrations in front of the government of Georgia. There was there was the time when the police went to Bastiani.
In front of Parliament.
Now I'm gonna show you some of the pictures from the demonstration. This is the first and the second picture. Like thousands of people went to the Parliament of Georgia because the police because the police went to Bassiani, and we are not allowed to dance anymore. And there was one of the most political moments when the dance floor went to the streets, and we started making some. We had a big influence on this policy making agenda with that action at that time. And I want to show you a picture where you might see this rainbow flag. That picture is taken at the same night where the police went to Bassiani, as a sign that the queer community was always in the front lines of any social movement all the time. And so it happened at Bassiani. And with this, I want to underline the fact that the queer rights and generally human rights and the dance floor are quite well connected to each other, and the social movements as well as the nightlife and the dance floor always supports the different social movements in the country here in Georgia. So happened it happened that way in Bastiani as well. So there was that at that time, Anna, one of your participants, basically. That's really important thing. Anna was my colleague at that time. We were working for the Georgia's largest LGBTQI community organization, Equality Movement, and Anna announced International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, Idaho celebration from that stage, from Bassiani demonstration. And just because some of the radical groups connected LGBTQI movement and the Bassiani and dance floor thing, Anna was targeted by the perpetrators, and she was receiving direct death threats. And even the investigation started on that case because she had serious problems with that because she could not use public transport. She could not show up in the public spaces at that time. There was a hard time for Anna. Yeah, just because we were dancing, because Bastiani was many times targeted by the radicals because they were trying to say that that space was occupied faggots and the people from Sodomia and Gomorrah. There was their references, as they knew that late in 2017 16, the Bastiani started together with queer activists, first ever, not first ever, but the huge queer party series at Bastiani. It's called Forum Nights, and I'm going to talk about Forum Nights later. But before, now I'm going to talk about this Georgian movie. Georgian movie, and then we dance. Even though it is a movie, the movie itself is about dance and how dance helps a person for self-identification and self-acceptance, and the way of this searching the one's true self. And it is a story of a Georgian guy who finds out that he's gay later on, and how dance helps him in this process. And that was a big topic because it provoked numerous public discussions in Georgia. And even one of the chairperson of the Georgian National Dance Ensemble said that there are no gay people in Georgian dance. So that was really that might sound funny for some of you, but that's Georgian reality. So many people believe that among the general society, that there are no gay people in Georgian traditional dance. That was the reason why it got so much aggression. The movie and the premiere, when the premiere of And Then We Dance was announced in Georgia, so the radicals announced the counter demonstration, the huge demonstration, threatening that they would not make the premiere happen. And it went quite political and violent as well. You can see some of the references, and I'm gonna show you some of these analytical articles about Anthony dance. But before, I remember that I went to the premiere. Like it happened 6 months ago. Not 6 months, but yeah, 5 months ago. I went to the cinema at that night, at the first day of the premiere, together with Anna. And me and Anna, we are recognized as we were speaking up about LGBTQI rights in the mainstream media quite often. We were recognized by this radical homophobic group activists, and we were in this siege for some moment. We could not move, and we were shouting and asking for help to the police. But yeah, when they came to us to help us, they tried somehow, but they did not do their best. And Anna was physically assaulted, and you can see some of the pictures. The one of the person throw hair, the some of the some object. Basically, at the court, that person said that he was targeting me, but there is no difference. So the Anna was also asked. Anna is recognized as a dancing on the monuments in Georgia. That was one of the reasons as well. Once Anna was targeted by the violent people 2 years ago in 2018. So Anna was assaulted. I was there at that night as well. The investigation started, and imagine it just happened just because we were going to the premiere of And Then We Dance, and that counter demonstration happened just because it was related to LGBTQI, like gay people and the Georgian traditional dance. So, and also how the dance can help a person to self-identify and this process of self-accepting and self-awareness. So that was the thing in regard of and then we dance. And the third, the last but not the least, I'm gonna talk about Tbilisi Pride. But before starting talking about Tbilisi Pride, I'm gonna talk about and tell you a really brief prehistory of LGBTQI movement in the country of Georgia. It all started in back to 2012, when dozens of queer activists decided to mark International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia on May 17th, but it ended violently. But it was really small scale event. Nothing really serious happened. But next year, the next year in 2013, the event was public, and there were around 100 queer activists and allies and supporters. And you can see this yellow bus. There were the queer activists inside. You can see the people, the crowd. These are the people organized by the Orthodox Georgian Christian Church against 100 queer activists. They were more than 10, 20,000 people, and it went violently. You can brutal actually. You can see in that yellow minibus there are queer activists inside, and you can see this aggressive crowd around the minibus. You can see those crowds from the closer view, how aggressive they look, and they were ready to kill all of them. You can see the priest here with the cheer, and this became the symbol of May 17th from 2013, as they were chasing and following gay people with that cheer. And that's, you can see in that yellow bus as well, there are some of the activists inside, and they try to just destroy the bus with all the people inside. That happened in 2013. In 2014, nothing really happened because the state did not provide any security. That happened in 2015. There was not a space for queer people to show up. However, some of the activists managed to bring their shoes as a sign that we could not show up in the public space. In 2016, there were some of the several partisan activities delivered by several activist groups because the public assembly was not possible to be organized because the state did not provide the security for the participants. And this picture is taken, it's the performance called the state funeral. The funeral is a sign that the state is not capable of protecting each and every person and the citizen of the country. And the second picture is also from 2016 as a sign that the cheer I've mentioned already. So that's the thing. In 2016. This picture comes from 2017. Basically, that's the year when I joined the organizing process of public LGBTQI events. And at that year, we managed to organize over 200 people, and there was a strong signal for so many community members and their lives as well that we are growing and we are not alone and we are not going to give up. And then in 2018, we were going to organize, all the activist groups got united to organize one big scale event regarding Idaho on May 17th in 2018. But 2 days prior, we received the information that the government was not going to provide the security. And based on the election principles, we decided to cancel the event. And despite the big scale event where we were expecting over 2,000 people, like imagine like 10 times more rather than the previous year, we canceled that event. And we instead we organized some small, really small scale partisan activities in the city. That was in 2018, and in 2019, from that oppressive history, the Tbilisi Pride showed up and said that look at us, we are here, we are queer, and we announced, we showed up with the dance video, with our promo video. Basically, we danced. And